So hello everyone and welcome to the Unquendor Guitars workshop. My name is Daniel and this is another part in the video series where I'm building one of my custom guitars. In the last episode I started working on the neck, and in this episode I intend to get it, I think, almost done. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this week's episode. We ended last episode with gluing the fretboard to the neck blank. So I'm going to remove the clamps right now, and then we can cut the rest of the shape using the bandsaw. And then we can start shaping the neck. And when I'm done cutting the shape on the bandsaw, I turn to my spindle sander and I use a little pens to thickness sand the headstock, and at the same time create the back curvature of the volute. And before I start shaping the neck, I make sure the back of the neck is nice and flat and straight. And I've made plenty of videos already on how I shape my neck using a faceting technique, using rasps and files and scrapers to create facets. So if you're interested in how I shape my neck in more detail, check out some of my previous videos, and I try to remember and put a card at the end of this video. So I really love the next part of shaping the neck, and that's making the volute. So I've drawn in the shape I want my volute to be at the headstock side. And now I can take out some files and rasps and really start shaping the volute. And to check your curvature and if the transitions between the neck and the volute are nice, even and smooth, best way to do this is by using your fingers. It's very hard to tell by eye if your curvatures are consistent and your transition even. So best way, use your fingers, and you can keep working at your volute and at the transitions using small files and rasps, for example, until you're happy with the result. So, and after some careful sanding with some 220 grit sandpaper, I think the volute is done for now. Of course, once the guitar is assembled, I have to do a lot more sanding, but I'm happy with the transitions, I'm happy with the curve. So on to the next bit. So the next step is addressing the headstock, applying the veneer and the Unquendor logo inlay. And usually I cut the veneers for the headstock from the same top or the same wood I'm using as a top for this guitar. But in this case, the top barely fits the guitar body, so there's probably not enough wood left to make the control cavity covers and the headstock veneer from that piece. But every time I make a headstock veneer, I end up with one piece I don't use. So I thought, dive in the collection and see if I can find a matching headstock veneer, which I did. I found this lovely quilted big leaf maple veneer that I'm now going to use as the veneer top, or the veneer on the headstock. And the first thing I'm going to do to the headstock veneer is add some black veneer to the back to give an additional accent color to the headstock. It's on the back, in between the headstock and the veneer, so to say. So I'm going to apply a bit of glue. Add the veneer. So, and clamp everything down for a couple of hours. I'm just going to clamp it straight to the workbench. Yep, that's my stomach. A lot of work has been done to the headstock. Of course, I trimmed the veneer flush with the headstock, made the access channel for the truss rod, and drilled all the tuner holes. And now it's time to do some fun stuff. I'm going to do the Unquendor Guitars logo inlay onto the headstock. And I already cut all the pieces needed for the inlay during a live stream, and they're right here in this jar. And as you can see, I've attached a printed version of the logo to the headstock already. And now I can use some super glue to stick this in place. And with the logo in place, I'm using a scalpel blade to trace the logo to make myself a template for routing the cavity later on. So now with the headstock logo done, there's only two more jobs to do before we can call this neck done. And that's of course making sure the fretboard is nice and straight and level. And then of course put in some frets. Yeah, the fretboard is nice and straight and ready to receive some frets. So one job I tend to forget are the side dots, but I remember to put them in time. So after pressing in the frets, it's important we check if the neck is still nice and straight before we can level the frets to make sure they're all exactly at the same height. So first, not straight edge. And check if the neck is still nice and straight, which it is. And then I'm going to use my fret rocker to check all these frets and see how much of a difference there is in fret heights. And with using the press, usually there isn't much deviation in between the frets. And after identifying all the high spots on some of the frets, I'm going to take out this small file And first spot level the obvious high spots before I'm going to take out my sanding beam and do a final leveling of all the frets. Yeah. And of course, after level sanding all the frets, we take out the fret rocker again and check if all frets are now nice and level. Which they are. All the frets now have a flat spot on the top from level sanding, so I'm marking the tops with a permanent marker. And I'm going to use my triangular recrowning file to round over that flattened section of each fret so it's nice and rounded again. And because I didn't have to do much leveling, this should be a fairly easy and hopefully quick job. Leveling and recrowning the frets of course left some scratch marks, so I had to use some sandpaper and my buffing wheels to polish the frets back up to a nice high shine. So let's clean the fretboard one last time before we call this neck done for now. And yeah, I couldn't be more happy with how this neck turned out. It feels really comfortable to play, a really nice carve on the back, and the frets went in perfect. They're nice and smooth with those rounded edges. So yeah, I'm very happy with how this neck turned out. And now with the neck done, it's time to start making the guitar body from this lovely piece of black limba, quilted maple top, but unfortunately that will have to wait until the next episode, so keep an eye out for that one. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, let me know by leaving a like, leave a comment, question or a suggestion in the comment section down below. This really helps other people to find my content and for me to grow my channel. So a bit more of your time to leave a like and leave a comment is very much appreciated. That said, I hope to see you all in the next episode, but until then, as always, take care and bye bye.